Hello and welcome to a video from filmsbychris.com. That's Chris with a K. I'm Chris with a K. Today we are going to be looking at printing color output from our shell to a physical printer. So two of the programs we're going to need today are AHA, which I talked about in a previous video. That's going to take our color output from our shell and actually generate some HTML code. And then we have WKHTML to PDF, which is going to take our HTML and convert it to a PDF. Okay, there might be a simpler way to do this, but it's a two-step process. So basically, if I wanted to print something, like I could do ls and I could pipe that into LPR, and that's going to print whatever my default printer is with the default settings, the output of the list command, or whatever file or output I put to it. So LPR just prints to your default printer with the default settings. I've gone over this in the past. I have other videos. There's a lot of options. You can change your default printer and all its settings, but that's the simplest way to print something to a physical printer. But if I do ls -L for long, human readable, all files, you can see I have a list of files here, and in my particular shell, I have some color coding. Certain files are certain colors, folders are a different color, so I want to maintain that color. So in the previous video, I talked about bat command. If I was to use this command and pipe it into one.text, right? Now I can cat out one.text, and you'll see it didn't maintain the colors. So we want it to actually put those color codings into that one.txt. So that's the first step. So how do we do that? Well, with list, what you can do is, or ls, you should be able to say --color equals always, and then I can redirect that into file or one.txt or any file I want. And now if I cat out that file, you will see we have some colors. And of course I can give it the long list if I want. Not cat. Sorry. We'll do LHA. Now, again, if I cat out that file, you can see it has color coding. If we were to open it in a text editor such as Vim, you'll see that it does have a bunch of little characters in here for the color coding that you don't see when you print to the terminal. Those are escape codes that tell it what color to use. So you don't see it in the terminal. Now, if I was to try to just pipe that into LPR, it would actually print, it wouldn't print it with the colors and those proper formattings. So what I want to do first is I'm going to convert it to HTML. So for example, what I would do is just pipe our list command with the color always into AHA, which is going to give us HTML here, right? I can put that into a file, colors.html, and then I can xdg-open if you're using Xorg. If not, this is just going to open whatever file I give it with whatever the default program is. In this case, it's going to be my default web browser, which is Brave, and the output looks like this. So we have colored HTML, and if we look at the source code, it will look like this, where it has some styling for those colors and formatting. Problem is, if I was to just now take that colors file and pipe that into LPR, it's going to print the source code with all the tags, not the actual output, rendered output from the HTML. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that output and I'm going to put it into the WKHTML to PDF, which is just one of many HTML to PDF converters, but it does a good job of converting the output and keeping its formatting, at least from ones I've tried. So we're going to list the colors, the color always, into AHA. That will generate our HTML. But instead of putting it into a file, we're then going to pipe it into WKHTML to PDF. We're going to say dash, because we're not looking at a file, we're looking at the standard input. And we're going to generate a PDF file called colors.pdf. At this point, I can then, again, open up with whatever my default PDF viewer currently is. xdg-open, again, if you're using Xorg. Or you can just type in the name of your PDF viewer. When we do that, we get the PDF, which looks like this. Great, so we have a PDF. Now we want to print that. Now, we could save it to that file, and then I can just tell LPR to print that file. But if we wanted to do it all in one command, what we can do is something like this. Oops, actually I jumped ahead in the tutorial. I'm looking at notes here. We want to do this. So we're saying list the files, keep the colors as we pipe it into AHA, create HTML. Take that HTML, pipe it into our converter here, look at the standard input, and instead of saving it to a file, print the standard output, which is actually a PDF, to the printer. And that is just one command. It will print the formatted colored output to our physical printer. Other options, and again, all this will be in the notes in the description, is I could do something like this. I can echo Q into top, which will start up top and then quit. We're going to say AHA, give it a black background. You can also just do -B, fixed lines, and then we're going to say convert it to a PDF and save it as a PDF. Now, if I was to xdg-open colors.pdf, we actually get this output, which is a PDF that looks like the actual output of top. So that's one way you can create a PDF of the output of a command and have it viewed in a PDF file. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I said that properly. We're taking a command, in this case htop, which normally runs, but we're getting the output of it, and we want it to look like the shell, and we're generating a PDF. And then we can share that. We could also print this, but we also may not want the black background, but it all depends on your color schemes for everything. And I do have a script in here called go.sh, which is a simple little script that I created. And as I talked about in the past, we use the bat command to print it with colors. We can pipe that into AHA-black-fixed lines. You may or may not want the fixed lines, just depending on your output here. We can put that into our converter here, and we can either save it to a file by saying dash, look at center input, and save it to this PDF here. So we can do that, and then we can open that up, and bring that over to this screen. That's the output as a PDF. But once it's as a PDF, we can actually print it to our physical printer, and keeping those colors and formatting. Again, you may not want to do it certain ways to keep that black background because you will be using a lot of ink, but I could always do dash here and say LPR, and it will print that output to my printer. Again, I can remove this black for the black background, but depending on your color scheme, you might have some white text that might not show up. So it all depends on what your output is. But again, our main focus here today is the command something like this, to where we're issuing a command and we're converting it twice and then sending it to a printer. Might seem like a lot if you're not used to the shell, but really it's fairly simple and self-explanatory if you're familiar with the shell. I understand if you're new to the shell, this might seem complex, but you can always put some of this into a script or an alias to automate it. But I found this useful. It was something I was not at a system. I was SH into my home computer from a remote computer, and I wanted to print something from the shell in color, and this is what I came up with. So if you have a better way of doing it, let me know in the comments below. But as always, I hope that you have a great day.